Graham Mertz is the most important Florida Gator of the 2024 season. We know that, right? Let's talk about it here on Locked On Gators.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Wednesday. I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Giants Country and NFL 33. And like I said, like we know Graham Mertz is the most important Florida Gator, right? We could talk about all the other guys we want, but Graham has to be the most important for Florida Gators to succeed, right? And he was good last year. He was good, not great. I know that like top 25 ranking by On3 or 24/7 or whoever the heck it was came out, and Graham Mertz was not on it, and a lot of Florida Gators fans got upset. Like, would he be on my list? Sure. He'd be on my top 25, but based on what we saw last year, I'm not going to say he was awesome because he wasn't. He was good. Not awesome. I don't think he was definitively a top 25 quarterback just based on what he did last year. Like, yeah, his efficiency numbers are fantastic because he only checked it down. There was no risk taking. And I get it. You don't want someone who's going to throw into traffic all the time, but there were certain points during the season where it's like, well, like you got to push it a little bit downfield. Like we talk about the Utah game. There was no vertical threat really to show up with any sort of consistency. It wasn't a thing that Graham Mertz looked to do. And so what he did last year was good. Doing his job, he did that well last year. But I don't want to look at his completion percentage and go, oh my God, he's amazing. Because so much of what he did was basically at the line of scrimmage. And I'm not saying that he was bad at all. Like, I don't want that to be what comes off here. But he was good last year. He needs to be better in 2024 for the Florida Gators to win more games. Again, he was good. I don't need him to be amazing, but this is, you're looking at first off, like he's your starting quarterback. I don't care about what anybody says about how much we love DJ Lagway. We all do. Graham Mertz is your starting quarterback, okay? He's your starting quarterback. He's your returning senior starting quarterback, year 2 in the system. Like, you need Graham Mertz to be better than he was last year if you want to win more games. And again, I'm not saying that he was the reason that Florida lost any games. He wasn't the reason you lost Utah. Sure, your offense scored 11 points. I believe the final score of that game was 11-24. He's not the reason you lost the Utah game. He's not. Your offense was bad all around. Offensive line was terrible. Running backs didn't create enough on the very limited opportunities they were given. Your offensive play calling was horrible in that game. So it's not just that it wasn't good enough from Graham, but you look at a few times where you could have done more. Like you could have tested downfield a little bit more. And again, I get it. Your offensive line wasn't very good. There were also times where like, let's remove even that I'm saying Graham needs to make more plays. Let remove that from the equation because that's not all he has to do to be better, right? Sure, more big positive plays would be nice. Give me less negative plays, okay? Give me more throwaways and less taking a sack and getting yourself into a 2nd and 17. Getting yourself into a 3rd and 9 from what was 2nd and 3. Give me that, okay? Like, I'll take that, and that's significantly better. You can give me the same stats that he had last year, same film he had last year, but more throwaways, less sacks taken, same number of pressures too. I don't care. Like, obviously, I would like less pressures. But if there's the same number of pressures, there needs to be less sacks. There needs to be more throwaways, more trying to run and turning what should be a sack for 6 into a sack for 2, which still isn't good. But we saw far too many back-breaking sacks that Graham Mertz took last year. And yes, obviously the offensive line takes a lot of the blame for giving up those sacks and giving up those pressures. But at a certain point, we got to go, you knew the offensive line was bad. Get rid of the football. Like throw it away. I'm someone who I love a good old-fashioned throwaway. I have no problem with a quarterback throwing the ball away because you minimize the negative. Yeah, you could look at an Anthony Richardson, a Patrick Mahomes, a Brett Favre type, where it's like, yeah, maybe he throws a few more picks, but look at the big plays that he threw. Yeah, I get that. You could look at that and say, well, Graham Mertz is like the opposite of that in the sense of he's not giving you those big passing plays. He's not turning the ball over, though. However, what Graham Mertz does do that's negative is he takes unnecessary sacks where either he's trying to run, he's just taking too long to get rid of the ball, whatever it may be. Limit those. Give me the same, even honestly, the same production as last year, even if it's, 70% pass completed, they're all near the line of scrimmage, whatever it is. Just minimize those negatives, the sacks, which again, he did a very good job of not turning the ball over. That was Keep Magnifique. He had 3 picks, and all 3 of them hit the receivers. So, and I fault him for 2 of them. I will say that. I don't fault him for the Ricky one, but yeah. So you give me just minimize those negative plays with the sacks. Give me throwaways, and you'll get much better. Because again, you're likely going to need to rely on his arm a good deal this year too. We don't know how good or bad the offensive line is going to be, but you're going to play against a lot of pretty damn good football teams where you're probably going to have to throw the ball quite a bit. That's fine. Because a lot of the teams you play have pretty good front 4s, front 7s, and running the football might be a bit hard. You're probably going to need to rely on Graham Mertz, which you should. You have what, a 5th-year quarterback in his 2nd year with the team as a starter. You should rely on him more. So for Florida, you need Graham Mertz to be better. And being better is minimizing those negative plays. I'm cool with it. You'll probably get more touchdowns, more just in general production from just not giving that. Not giving defense easier times to stop you, right? So I'll take that 10 times out of 10. We do have to look at the defensive side of the ball for this next one because it is another a biggie from a returning starter that's supposed to be a veteran this year, that's supposed to be a veteran leader this year. Let's talk about that in just a second. But first, we're going to get a quick word from eBay Motors. With passion, drive, and patience, that's what brings home the winning trophy, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for, and with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply, and eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts. And like I said, we're switching to the defensive side of this for the next most important Florida Gator of this year. And I was kind of torn here between going pass rush or coverage. But I didn't go pass rush. I went coverage. I didn't go pass rush because I think pass rush is going to be much more of a cohesive thing this year. I don't think that we're going to be leaning on Princely has to get more sacks. We're not going to be going, TJ Searcy needs to get more sacks, or any specific player needs to get more sacks. It's going to be, there needs to be a friggin' pass rush at some point, right? So I went away from pass rush and I went coverage with Jason Marshall. for one season, one full season is all I'm asking, which I don't think is too much. The Florida Gators need competent corner play from your veteran here, which your only returning starter at corner is Jason Marshall. If you want to count nickel, Jaden Hill's gone. If you want to count that other corner, Jalen Kimber's gone, right? Your only returning starter at corner is Jason Marshall. With all of the new faces, not just in the secondary, or not just at corner, but in the secondary, you're looking at probably a new starting safety in Asa Turner. You're looking at Trickwise Bridges, DJ Douglas. You're looking at just the guys that are not new to the team, but new to the starting lineup, whether that's Devin Moore, Jakeem Jackson, Deshaun Johnson, whoever gets it, Aaron Gates, Sharif Denson, whoever it may be, right? You need someone in this secondary that's been in Gainesville, that's been in this defense, in this system, in this program. Someone that's been here to set the mother flipping tone. Because that's an important part here. As Jason Marshall is going to be looked at as the veteran leader of that secondary, whether he wants to or not. I don't know Jason Marshall personally. I'm not going to say that I know what he wants or doesn't want. I am saying that, yeah, the Florida Gators, like the youngins, the newbies, they will look at Jason Marshall as their leader because he's been here for what now his fourth year. He's been a starter for a majority of his career in Gainesville. They're going to look at him and say, hey, you're the guy. It happens in every secondary when there's, especially when there's mass turnover and there's one guy who's staying there, one holdover. Everyone's going to look at that corner and say, hey, or that safety, whoever it may be, and they're going to say, hey, you're the guy. Like you set the tone. And it's not just me blowing smoke here. It's you look at every secondary that's had one guy come back, two guys come back, and a bunch of newbies. And it's always that guy sets the tone. Do we give up a single inch, a single yard in coverage? Obviously, ideally, no, but keeping that confidence, a bad thing happens, don't turn and blame someone else. Like we saw with Trey Dean. I mean, you look at the Tennessee game in 2022, and you could see Trey Dean, that I forgot who it was, but Brenton Cox blows the sack. Hendon Hooker picks up a game, and Trey Dean turns to Shamar James, true freshman Shamar James, and starts like yelling at that blame game stuff. When you're the veteran leader, the returning veteran there, that's stuff that can't fly. So Jason Marshall needs to set the tone as to what we accept here, what we don't accept, how we hold people accountable. And he finished last year pretty strong, whether we're talking about when he was blitzing or actually in coverage. Jason Marshall finished the 2023 season pretty strong. You have to string that from finish 2023 strong, have a strong spring, start the year strong. Preferably play the whole year strong, but you just string it through. It has to be a consistent thing here where you've built momentum, keep it going. But not just his play. Again, his leadership needs to be great. And like I said, like I'm not in that room. I'm not in that secondary. I don't know what kind of leader he is. But as far as the secondary goes, he needs to be the leader because you've got, again, opposite him, a new starter. Whoever it is going to be a new starter. It's safety. You've got at least one returning starter in Jordan Castell. I don't think Bryce Thornton will start. I think it'll be Asa Turner. And then you got the new guys coming in from the transfer portal or new starters if they're on the team already. Like you look at nickel, if it's Sharif Denson, Aaron Gates, they're here. But new starters, you need to establish that tone of what flies here, what doesn't. Because hey, last year, all that horrible film we put out in the secondary, that's got to be gone. And so that's what we're looking for from Jason Marshall. Jason Marshall had probably the worst year of anybody last year. You look at the Vanderbilt play with Will Sheppard. I get it. Will Sheppard's finger got caught in his face mask for a second, and then he just gave up on the play. You look at what was it, the LSU game, tweeting, what more could I have done here? None of that. You are the veteran leader of this secondary. You're the veteran leader in that corner room. You see a bad play, you go, that's my bad. We move. Got to get that out, confidence, and go through it. Because everybody is going to look at you to do that. That's what happens. I join a new team. We look at who's the leader in that corner room, who's the leader in that secondary, who's the alpha. Do it. Like we're gonna follow suit there. Look at the NFL. You look at all those teams where they've had one very physical press corner. He sets the tone. The rest of the secondary follow suit, right? That's how it goes in college. That's how it goes every level of football. You have an alpha at corner. You have someone who's going to establish the tone, establish the attitude of that secondary, and everything else follows suit. So for Jason Marshall, he's not just the most important defender on the Florida Gators because he's corner one. He's not just the most important defender because he's been here longer than everyone else. He's the most important defender because the rest of the secondary follows him this year. And really, they did last year too. You look at the breakdowns, you look at whatever negative things happen. Jason Marshall started some of them. He didn't fix them. Like even the first freaking play of defense last year was Jason Marshall in coverage. He got beat by Money Parks, and then RJ Moten made the play way worse. But like, don't get it. Jason Marshall got beat. And then RJ Moten made it way worse. But he got beat first play. That established the tone for the rest of the freaking year it happened. Whether it was a 24-yard completion, 26, 23, 80, whatever it was established the Vanderbilt game. That touchdown with Will Sheppard was pretty damn early, right? When you look at what happens negatively, it comes down from the top. Set the tone, Jason. That's all you. Set the tone. Make it happen. Be the alpha in the secondary because that's your responsibility now. Whether you want it or not, that's your responsibility. So that's why Jason Marshall, your most important defender of the 2024 season for the Florida Gators. You want to succeed? You need your starting NFL potential corner to set the freaking tune. Set the tone, set the tune, set the tude, set the mood. I don't care what you want to call it, setting. Set it and win some more football games. Play better defense because what we saw last year was nothing short of absolutely disgusting from the secondary. You need to be better, and it starts with your returning veteran CB1. All right? Going back to offense to wrap up today's show, but first we're going to get a quick word from FanDuel. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by FanDuel. Say goodbye to busted brackets. I'm done with them. I hate the brackets. I'm still going to do them, but I'm mad at them, right? With FanDuel, you can bet on every game of the tourney. So if you're doing the bracket challenge and it's like, oh, well, my top team's gone, I'm screwed. Oh, FanDuel, run that back, baby. Simple as that. Whether you're betting on a big upset or a number one seed, go on, whichever that may be. It's time to go dancing on America's number one sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 wins. Right? $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. Hell, parlay them both, right? You can even pick who's going to win it all, Elite Eight, Final Four, everything you want. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops until they cut down those nets. And remember that FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NBA and Locked On. To wrap up today's show, we are flipping back to the offensive side of the ball. And no, I'm not saying that most important, or third most important player on the team is Eugene Wilson III. I'm giving it to Montrell. And I will be completely honest. I was torn between Montrell Johnson or Eugene Wilson III. However, what it came down to for me was that I think we see more of a true running back one approach here. Where like even though Montrell played more downs, whatever it may be, Montrell and Trevor Etienne last year were kind of looked at as running back one, running back two. This year, it's going to be, or running back 1, running back 1A. 1A, 1B, whatever the hell you want to call it. This year, the Montrell is clear set running back 1. Then, whoever it is next in this little backfield, it is, right? But we know running back 1, Montrell Johnson. Running back 2, probably Trayon Webb. Running back 3, Cam Carroll. And you'll see them all every game. But Montrell's going to be your lead back. Your legitimate, undisputed lead back. And while Graham Mertz is important because his team needs quality quarterback play, good quarterback play, and less negatives from their quarterback, they're still going to run the ball, especially on early downs and neutral downs. I don't care who's calling plays, if it's Billy Napier, if it's Russ Callaway, they're going to run the ball on early downs and neutral downs. Okay? Montrell needs to set the tone there. Again, we're talking about setting the tone. Montrell needs to find success. Okay? Plain and simple. You need better play from Montrell Johnson in 2024. 2023, he was fine. We don't want fine. And I mean fine. Like, I'm not going to gas him up just because Trevor Etienne left. Like, Montrell Johnson last year, during the season, first off, I have not forgotten how many people were just so adamantly against Montrell as running back 1. And then Trevor was like, I'm leaving. And everyone's like, oh, well, Montrell's way better anyway. Not how things work here. I don't forget, right? This is like super bad. They're like, it's the 3rd grade. People don't forget, okay? Montrell Johnson needs to be better. He does, because he was still good. And I will say that about halfway or maybe later through the year, I was saying, it's Trevor Etienne time. But Montrell was still good. He just needs to be better. Because you look at what he did in space, he didn't do well in space. To the point where we were sitting here on the show going, I'm not sure he's very healthy right now. It wasn't just that he didn't have a ton of wiggle, because he's not someone that has a ton of wiggle. He's a pretty rigid runner. However, he wasn't even running through people like we saw his freshman year in Louisiana, like we saw his sophomore year in Gainesville. Montrell was not powering through people where corners were just meeting him one-on-one and making the stop. And it was like, what is going on here? That's the kind of stuff that we can't get that. Like, we can't have that from Montrell Johnson. We can't have that from running back 1 this year. You need to be better when you're given the chance to work in space. And I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. I'm giving you the leash of this offensive line might not be great. I do think it'll be better genuinely, but might not be great. So I'm giving you the benefit of that. But I'm talking about when you're working in space. When you're one-on-one with a corner, I expect you to win that battle. Okay? You one-on-one with a linebacker, sure, maybe you lose it. Again, not a dude with a ton of wiggle. That's just not him. But when you're one-on-one with a corner, I expect you to run over him. I don't need you to wiggle. I need you to truck him. Send him to the shadow realm, right? That's what I expect from running back 1 this year. And on top of that, as a pass catcher, Montrell needs to be more reliable, we'll say. Because last year, he struggled with drops the entire season, really. And it wasn't a thing that, we really thought of as an issue too much of in 2022. Just because he wasn't given that many opportunities to drop the ball that much. Right? In 2022, he wasn't throwing the ball much. Because Anthony Richardson didn't check down to running backs frequently. Even when he did check down to running backs, it was usually when he scrambled and then someone was coming down and he was like, oh, I'll just toss it real quick. But in 2022, running backs, Montrell Johnson had 16 targets the entire season. Trevor Etienne had 9 targets the entire season. They didn't get thrown the ball that much. Montrell had, I'm pretty sure it was like 2 drops accredited to him, but if I'm not mistaken, one of them like hit him up high, and I still don't know why he was given that drop. But like last year, Montrell had 41 targets. Trevor Etienne had 21. Graham Mertz does like throw to running backs. Montrell had 4 drops on those. 4 drops on those 41 targets. That can't happen. He had the most drops on the team, 3rd most targets on the team. Those drops are inexcusable. They can't happen. Like it's plain and simple. Can't happen. Completely unacceptable. You need to be more reliable. You get 1, maybe 2 in the year. You need to be more reliable. And we talk about, I know that I was very much on the Trevor Etienne's a bad pass blocker. In 2022, I was saying that, and everybody told me to shut the hell up. So when people turn around now that he left and they go, oh, God, thank God he's gone. He sucked at pass protection. I don't want to hear it. I said it a long time ago, and everybody told me to shut the hell up. Montrell Johnson, the better pass protector of the two. Better than he was in 2022 in pass protection. Still really bad. You need to be better in pass protection. You need to be a better all-around back. That was the main reason I was saying that I think Montrell should return in 2023 or in 2024 from the 2023 season when he was considering going to the NFL draft. I was like, yeah, you can still improve your value because you can prove a lot as a complete back, as a passing down back, because pass protection wasn't good. It was better than 2022 again, but still not good. And then pass catching, most drops on the team. It's terrible. 4 drops on 41 targets. A drop every 10 targets? That's really bad. So, yeah, we need Montrell Johnson to be better. Just plain and simple. Again, he was good last year. You need to be better for this team because you're going to have more workload, more volume, make more of those touches. And Florida Gators have a better chance of winning games in 2024 because of it. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free reviews in the podcast. We'll be back tomorrow, talk more Florida Gators football, and we'll be back after the SEC tournament game for the Florida Gators. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Giants, Country, and NFL 33. And as always, I'll see you all next time.